House resumed. In the initial days, maybe we have not. And that was an oversight, I think. But we are attending the FPAC and the FPAC now. We are being represented. With regards to the compliance reviews, this is legacy. We inherited a backlog, just like the financial statements. Again, but we are auditing. We have achieved immense progress. I think now we have about 2021, I believe. So most of the 2018, 2019, I think we have completed those, but we are still behind. So and the question is, the question perhaps, don't want to preempt, but the question perhaps is, why don't you go on and employ staff? Employing staff when you are already overstaffed has to be looked at critically. And we've realized that we have to adopt a strategic approach, and we cannot dismiss staff like that. So we have to use the natural wastage, retirement, and so on to control the numbers of staff. At the technical level, like I said, we are understaffed, but what we have realized is we had about 5 of our staff members who are abroad studying, and we know they are coming. And 2 has come recently from Kenya with master's degrees. One came this month from Italy, and one is currently in Rwanda. We're expecting him in February. So you can see we do have a position, we do have an approach to solving the problem, but it has to take a little bit of time. Like I said, it's a strategic, it's not tactical. We have about 8 of our staff who are studying at the university sponsored by the institute. Again, most of these 8 are the compliance, the technical staff. 2 of them have graduated, I think last month. The HR manager is here behind me. And we have 6 currently studying at the university. So we are in position to solving these problems as time goes on. What is certain is that there has to be change. We don't have an option. Change is certain. Reform is certain. We have to restructure, and we are working on that. And at the management level, we have a good idea of the institution, of the position of the institution. We have done our institutional audit, SWOT analysis, not in terms of a report that we can present, but this is for our own consumption, in our observation and in our note taking. And but that's for management, for our own managerial functions. We have approached an external organization to do a thorough staff audit, institutional audit, for the consumption of outsiders and perhaps the National Assembly, which will prove our own audit of the institute. Yes, I think that's what I can say for now.
You've heard what the MD just said. Now, on the issue of representing the institution to FPAC and FPAC, he said yes. You've been coming just
Certainly, sir. That has to happen, and we'll comply with that. Like I said, things are improving a lot. We have 3 graduates, like I said, who have joined us. We have 2 who have graduated from the university. And we are doing our own, we don't want to wash our dirty linen in public, obviously, but there's a lot we are doing internally. There's a lot of things we are trying to put in place. The board representative of the board chair is here, and we should be able to be on each sitting of the PEC and the PAC from now on. We should be, and we guarantee that will happen.
Well noted. And the other issue is the reviewing of the financial statements of the respective institutions. Only but very few had their GPPA. In fact, the reports were not complete. We are only brief of the stage at which they were on the review of the reports. But to have a complete report from GPPA since we started this session, we've never received that from any of the institutions. How do we regulate that?
I have a little to say on that, but with your permission, I will allow the Director for Policy and Operations,
Okay.
who oversees that department, to say, and then I will come to clarify.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, subject matter specialists, good morning. Thank you, DE. I think it will be necessary for me to give you a background, brief for that matter, so that you have an understanding of where some of these problems started. As my DG rightly said, the last time we presented our activity report was some months ago for 2016 to 2019. Of course, prior to that, we have been reporting. But then it came to a point that now one of the reasons, of course, have already been mentioned by my DG, that you look at the number of technical staff versus, for example, the total number of procuring organizations to be reviewed. And currently our list show that we have about 18 technical staff. And out of these, of course, some of them were reading abroad, as he has already mentioned. Some of them are going to the University of the Gambia for local training and so on and so forth. So if you look at the number of procuring organizations, about 213 to be reviewed annually. And we have our other activities like prior reviews and so on. We have our training activities. It became very difficult for us to, of course, review all the institutions as required by us. That is one of the reasons. And years back, when I started GPPA, there used to be only one committee. So it was very easy for the authority to be represented at almost all the sittings of the FPAC, as it used to be called in those days. But with the creation of different select committees, of the National Assembly, and the authority must be represented at each of these committees, minimum one and sometimes two members out of the total number of the technical staffs that we have talked about. Definitely create a lot of problems. And the other issue was about the COVID-19. I'm trying to give you so that you understand how the backlogs came about. The COVID-19 came, and then it was very difficult for staff to be sent to various institutions because we attempted several times, and some of the institutions will tell us that you cannot review us because of COVID-19 and so on and so forth. So that is why we have that backlog of the institutions that are not reviewed. And these are the very institutions, and for those years with those backlogs, these are the institutions that are being, of course, reviewed at the FPAC at the moment. So I only pray that, but I don't know whether that is possible. In accounts, we used to hear what we call bad debt. And I don't think that is possible with this case, because they must be reviewed. They must be reviewed. So this is why we are struggling very hard. But as my DG rightly said, we are trying as much as possible to see how this could be done. Most of the institutions that you are talking about are already been reviewed, and their reports are about to be finalized, and hopefully they will be presented in due course. And we have our schedules. But most of the time what we do is, like, when you send us your schedules, sitting schedules, then we look at that and then review institutions and ensure that their reports are also completed based on priority and based on your schedule, so that the reports will be presented at the sittings. But definitely we are trying. Okay.
Also, whether the director has adequately responded to my question, that is to say, how do we regulate that? The director was just giving me the background of the situation, but not helping to give us the way forward. You made mention of the number of staff that are sent to Parliament because of the many committees. I think the Parliament has narrowed that down. Right now, financial statements are only sent to FPAC and PEC. This is where you may need to send in your staff, but all other committees, they are not directly involved as far as issues of finances are concerned. So that has reduced the number of personnel that you're supposed to send to Parliament, at most 2. So that one has been addressed. And in May, we called for briefing, and then our schedule was also distributed to institutions. Accordingly, it is our belief that we should have prioritized, because there were institutions that were programmed to appear in June, July session, and others in September, October. If you had keenly followed that, you'll have prioritized and then reviewed the one that were supposed to appear in June, July, and then when that is done, then you can concentrate on September, October. But none of these were the case. That means GBA was not adequately following the National Assembly program. So that is what I want to say. I just want to find out, now, how do we come together to regulate this situation? Because as you said, the books must be reviewed. They cannot just go on reviewed. So if that is not done, if that is not doing the way it's supposed to, what should we do to regulate that? That was my question. And then we just hold on a minute. Maybe if you have anything before I get back to my colleagues to adequately respond to that unanswered question, I will say it's not answered. 1 minute, yeah.
Like my DG rightly said, just recently we have 2 staff coming from Kenya that have just completed their master's degrees in public procurement, and another one from Italy, and also one or two of them who have just completed the University of the Gambia. So with this manpower, I think we'll be able to sit together and then looking at schedules and what we have ahead of us, we'll be able to strategize, draw programs or schedules to ensure that compliance reviews are, of course, done, and reports are completed in time so that we let you have them. And that will also give us another sort of advantage for us to be represented at the 2 committees that you are talking about, and also as aides to the National Assembly. Because with additional 4 staff who were not part of us, obviously, if we sit down and then look at our house, we will be able to put our house in order.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, Fofana. Oh, okay. No, okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think listening to the GPPA, I think it all goes back to them, because they can't transfer their burden to the National Assembly. If we say that they must come, they must come. With a staff of 72 and with only 18 technical staff, I don't think that is I don't want to be very harsh, but that is not our problem. We need to know, they need to look at who is in charge of their recruitment and why they are not recruiting the right people, because they know the number of organizations that they are to oversee, like us. We need to have them. So whether they are understaffed or overstaffed, if we call them, we expect they are in our oversight function, like you've mentioned. So the inadequacy or the insufficiency of staff, I think, should not be transferred to us. So they should look into that and make sure that relevant staff are recruited. And also, if their staff is away on studies, that shouldn't affect the operations, because they need to make sure that before anybody goes, we are also an organization. We approve our staff to go on study, but that shouldn't affect operations in our organization. So I think if they are called, we expect them. FPAC and PEC, for us FPAC, we sit every day, morning till evening, Monday to Thursdays. And I was a member of the previous FPAC. And we had GPPA, National Audit Office, not as outsiders, but as part of the committee. And if they are missing in our sittings, like you've emphasized, we cannot be operational, because there must be certain things that they must confirm in every sitting. So I think we should make a point that they must. And if they are not with us, there should be consequences, because our work must continue. We have times that we sit for committees, and after that we have our plenary. And the committee sessions are more important, because that is when we prepare for the plenary sessions, and they need to be sure, they need to know that they must come in every sitting. And also not only just be present, but to send staff that are relevant, that can answer our questions, not only presence, because presence can be present, but not only present, but staff that can be effective in our sessions too. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you.
And I must start by extending our gratitude to the board and management of GPPA for answering to our call today. You know, and Honorable Chair, you may correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the third time we are having a similar sitting like the one we are having today. The first one we had was late May, early June. By then, the new DG was not in, and we have it with the Director of Operations. And similar concerns were raised. That one, GPPA were not fully represented in the FPAC committee, and that two, compliance reports were not coming. And on that day, the answers that the Director of Operations gave today were similar answers. Then when the new DG came, we summoned you and expressed our concern. I think that was just the first week you resumed office. And you were very frank with the FPAC committee. In fact, you highlighted the fact that GPPA had challenges. And at that moment, what you were going to do was an institutional audit, the results of which will be shared with the National Assembly towards operational efficiency. That didn't come back. And to make matters worse, when we started our current sittings, GPPA was never present. You came last week, but it was only by presence, like what she said. It was only by presence, because the representative who was here on behalf of GPPA couldn't give us the answers required. We have to be honest here. And it is not like FPAC is asking a favor from GPPA. This is your constitutional mandate. This is your responsibility. Let's be honest here. If this was a private business, you hire a manager for a particular function, and the manager comes and tells you that I cannot do it, because what GPPA is telling us now is, you cannot do your prior reviews. Your post reviews, you cannot do them. And that is your primary function. That is why GPPA is being established. You are failing in the one task that you are mandated to do. I'm sorry, but Honorable Chair, I'm sorry, but I think this time around we have to be really honest to each other. We are not asking each other favors here. We all have responsibilities to do as per the dictates of the Constitution and as per the organizational expectations of the departments we are representing. GPPA have nothing else to do. The prior reviews are important, but the post reviews are the most important ones. When the Director of Operations came here the other time, the same thing was what she said. And it is shocking to hear bad debts. Like you're telling the National Assembly, can we forgo those years that we don't have reports on? These are public funds. We all agree that over 60 to 70% of the national budget goes into procurement. Now, it is your responsibility to tell us whether those funds were judiciously utilized as per the budget. Sitting in, I can count. If I'm wrong, you correct me. But from our first sitting, that is from June, July, going up to August, up till now, the compliance reports that GPPA have submitted here, if you count them, it's not more than 2. It's not more than 2 for all the institutions. The rest is just incomplete. So, Honorable Chair, I think we need a roadmap. The status quo cannot continue, because if you allow it to continue, we'll be part of it. We'll be complicit. So we need a roadmap. You know, the new DG, I believe, like FPAC have been fair to you, because we've given you the time. When you came in, you met us, the energy was there. You were really enthusiastic about it. You were frank with the committee. You told us the challenges, and we gave you the opportunity. And again, as a committee, what we were expecting was having you back. But for the director of operations, I'll be honest, for me, I don't have room because consistently it is the same excuses. You know, so, and I believe the status quo cannot continue because we are not doing each other favors. We are doing it as a constitutional mandate. We are doing it because that's what we are asked to do. But if you cannot perform your primary responsibility, one will be tend to ask, why are you still there as an institution? I'm sorry to say, but that's the fact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comment from any honorable member?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. To add on to my fellow members, actually, based on the issue about the GPPA, I cannot understand, like, normally, things that they should take care of at their level, they don't do it until we call them and they start giving us excuses, which I cannot understand. Because, like, institutions, people are there appointed to take charge of the day-to-day administration of the institution. So there are certain gaps. You don't have to wait till you come here. You start telling us, because I understand GPPA. You have a training center sort of. So I think recruitment shouldn't be an issue with you, because the purpose why people are going to that institution, you know, you giving them training and stuff like that, it's all part of recruitment. So I think in the area of human resource base, that shouldn't be a problem. So I think we have so many young people who are out there. We can bring them on board so that at least you can perform your duty effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Okay.
The director of operations did say something that during the COVID-19, you went to some institutions and they denied you to do the compliance because they claim it was during COVID. Do you have a written proof of that, which you can really forward to the FPAC committee, to the National Assembly? Do you have a written proof of that, where institutions say, no, you cannot do the compliance because we are in COVID? Do you have a written proof of that? If you do, we would like to have copies. Can he respond to that?
Actually, what I know is when we are going to institutions, we write to them and they respond. And since the beginning of COVID, it's been a long time now. And at a point at GPPA, we know that we cannot continue our reviews because of COVID-19. But definitely, I cannot remember the institutions that we have written to. We can go into our records and see the institutions that we wrote to and we couldn't review them.
No. I'm not asking that. You said that institutions were not ready to be reviewed during COVID because the excuses they were advancing was based on the fact that COVID was ongoing. As such, you have a constitutional mandate. So those excuses should have been what? Explicit or an integral part of any response they were giving you. So my question is, do you have records of that? If at all you only have responses which do not have that as an integral part of it, we might not be interested to have it because it cannot substantiate your fact. Do you have references that can substantiate the fact that you couldn't do your reviews because the reasons that the institutions were advances were based on COVID? This is what I'm asking.
What I am saying is, we write to institutions and they respond. So it's been a long time. Unless we go back to our records, I'll not be able to remember whether, or remember some of the institutions that, of course, responded negatively to our request.
Okay, we'll be willing to have those ones. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Fofana and Jai, as well as Jamia. Now, I think position has been taken as far as the first issue is concerned. That is to say, GBV is supposed to be represented in any FPAC sitting, and which the DG guaranteed from now onwards that is going to happen. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Chair. We have noted the concerns and comments of the National Assembly members. It's a hot seat. I'm in the hot seat, and I can understand. I can understand the oversight responsibility of the National Assembly. And yes, the National Assembly honorable members said we've been called 3 times. Yes, that is true. He also said I was energized then. I can tell you I'm even more energized today than before. If I were in your position, I would have said the same thing and done the same thing. I can understand that. At the institute, like I said, we don't want to go into the blame game, but there's a lot that needs to be done, that needs to be ironed out, and that is our responsibility. I understand that too. It's our responsibility. We don't have to bore you with that. That is not your thing, but for us to implement the reforms and the restructuring, we need the support of the executive and the National Assembly. Change is always difficult, and people resist change. People will always resist change and resist reform. It's very difficult. And some weeks ago, I was at State House with His Excellency the President in a meeting with some Economic Council meeting, basically, and he also had some concerns, and my position still is that, and we discussed that, and I could see where he was coming from, and I can see where the National Assembly is also coming from very clearly. But for change to happen, for reforms to occur, it takes more than one person. It takes support and trust in the agents of change. It takes trust and support. And that trust and support must come from the executive and from the National Assembly. It's very important. Now, when you want to implement change, people will be threatened. Many people will be threatened in many areas. And there are issues that I'm hesitating to mention them because I know it's a house meeting, it's a family meeting. We have been accused by sometimes staff leaking out certain things that have been happening at the institute. But a lot of reform needs to be done at the GPPA. A lot needs to be done. It's difficult. I'm hesitating. It's difficult to say everything, but so much needs to be done. And we really need the support of the executive and the National Assembly to push through these reforms. And so many things will be said. Fabrications will be made. Things will be done. But if the time comes when we feel that we cannot do it, I can tell you, I know it's not common in this country, but if the time comes when we feel we cannot do the job, we'll honorably resign. I can tell you that. it doesn't, for me, it's not a big deal for me. I know it does not really happen in Africa. But if the time comes when we feel we cannot push through the reforms we want to reform, we will leave and let somebody take and do better than us. But a lot needs to be done. And we are doing it. I'm 3 months old. We are 3 months old as a management in the institute. I know the level of reform we want to see. And I understand your desire to see them happen. I understand that. And I can also, we really want to do them. We want it to happen. And, but the report that you said, I promised to submit to the National Assembly. In audit report, it was not. Yes. We promised to submit 2 reports. We promised to submit the list. I think National Assembly requested for a list of the single source institutions that have single source, and we promised that we will submit that report to the Assembly. Another report, I think, was the financial statements. These were the 2 reports we promised, but I did not promise that I will submit an institutional audit. I did not. Yeah.
Similar thing. Okay. Similar thing happened, and you were just frank like the way you are frank today, and you did indicate that you need to go back to because the rest were hesitating to speak. You are the only one who was speaking out, and you did indicate that you will go back, you'll do an institutional audit, and the National Assembly, as a partner, you would come and share that with us. It doesn't mean giving us a physical report, but telling us exactly what obtains in GPPA so that we can work together to improve it. That's exactly how it went. But it's okay.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, I think with the reforms in place, I want to urge the National Assembly to be, I know you have been patient enough. I know. I want to appeal for support a little bit. And the reforms are biting. We are getting in. And also with the current policy position of the government, which is very timely, to decouple the functions of the institute cannot come at a better time. Our focus now will be on prior reviews. Obviously, post-reviews have gone with the institutions. This is very good in many, many, many respects. And I congratulate the National Assembly for passing that bill. Before it came, we had already written, and I can provide a proof. We had already written that we are going to employ the service of a company called to help us in the post reviews, because there are some companies, procurement companies, actually professionally, who can do this, and we are going to we are engaged with them. And with this policy position now, I think it's very good for GPPA that we can focus all our resources now on post reviews. And so this problem will soon be a bygone. I'm 100% confident.
No, I was trying to say that the first issue has been addressed, that is to guarantee that the institution will be represented in the FPAC sittings. And the other one, that is reviewing of the finances of the institutions, that is what's supposed to be strategized. Before me, we have our schedule, and we still have few or some institutions left. We are sitting until on the 11th of November. The ones that have passed, there's very little that we can do, but the ones that are coming, we see how best that can be strategized, so that if they are to appear, they will have their their compliance report also being presented, if that is possible. We have the councils coming. I think the councils will start coming already. They should be, they're supposed to start coming tomorrow. That is Mansa Konko, Janjambure, Kuntauru, and Base to do their presentation tomorrow. Unfortunately, their consideration will be deferred. That's supposed to be Wednesday. Now, on the 27th, is slated for the presentation of Banjul, Kanifing, Brikama, and Cherawan. Then we have the councils for these 2 days or 3 for their presentation and consideration. But the upper week on the 1st, the hospitals will be coming. If we can consider to strategize, we look at if the hospitals have their pending reports not finalized, if that can be done, from the 5th upwards, all the institutions that are there, if you can endeavor to complete their works, I think will be very helpful. These are the hospitals, if I may name them: Buyam, Farafenye, Bansang, and Edward Francis, Kanifing, Ed Said, and Bundung. Then the other institutions that will come later would be Alternative Dispute, National Agency Against Trafficking, Imposing, National Agency for Legal Aid, and then National Nutrition Agency, National Disaster Management. Already, no, we don't have that. We only have NEA. And then Food Safety and Quality Assurance Authority, Gambia Maritime Administration. Yeah, these are the institutions that are left. From 1st to 11, if we can have the compliance of those institutions be completed, I think would be very helpful to the committee. I don't know what's your take on that.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. From now on, I will instruct, we have 2 directors, him and the other one, compliance. And from now on, it is the directors themselves who will be represented at this committee.
Okay.
And they should expedite the work. I think we have enough staff to do the work. We should be able to do the work. And from now on, no staff will attend. They should attend and take the punch like I'm taking the punch. And let's work. We have a roadmap, actually. We have not, you mentioned earlier that National Assembly had a roadmap. We had our roadmap. It's not in line with yours. It should be, but it's not. But we have a roadmap to do this, and they're supposed to implement it. And my work is to give them the support and everything that it takes for this to be done. And now they will be here to represent the institutions.
Yeah, since you have our program with you, you can just look at the program. Institutions that are appearing from the 1st to 11, make those institutions the priority.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
All right. On that, honorable colleagues, since we have now made agreement on the 2 issues in hand, 1, their representation, and 2, reviewing of the finances, I want to thank the management for responding to our call, and we hope all that have been said here will actually try to adhere to, so that we can have the way forward. Yes, the DG Bed mentioned you need the executive and the National Assembly to support. I can assure you that the National Assembly is here to support any institution that needs our support. If you find anything difficult with any institution, put it in your report and bring it to the National Assembly. For we don't have power as a committee to do anything. We have a plenary. We'll take it to the plenary. When they adopt our report, that is going to form part of our resolution. And anything passed as a resolution at the National Assembly is an action point. The entire National Assembly is going to act on that. I think you've just had the last sitting when the FPAC submitted its report, and then part of it were issues that emanated in the resolutions, especially on retirement of the they impress. Then we made a follow-up that come by the end of this month, we want to see that all the retirements are paid, or else action should be taken. So we cannot do anything, but if you report anything to us, we'll also report it to the plenary. And whatever the plenary adopts, it is something that is going to be binding and will take effect. Action must be taken. I can assure you that the whole National Assembly are ready to do that, and we always get their support. On that note, I thank you so much for your attendance, and we look forward to receive your representative in our next sitting, if possible today. National Library is coming. Okay, good. Director, you can take your seat. I thank you all. Yeah. Yeah, can we, the meeting,
Prayers. Honorable Chair, I rise to report.
thank you very much, the clerk. It's reported that the quorum does exist for the FPAC to commence business. Those in favor, please say aye. And those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. On that note, the meeting stands commenced. Before the agenda, the consideration and adoption of the activity reports and audited financial statements by the Gambia National Library Service Authority and any other business. Can somebody, any honorable member, move that we adopt the agenda? Yeah, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda as it is. Those in favor, please say aye. And those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. We have a new person here who was not here on the day of the presentation. Okay, Mr. Cisse. Yeah, bye.
Good morning, Honorable Chair.
Okay.
My name is Asum Sise. Good morning to the honorable members of the committee and to our colleagues here. I hereby sit in for the board of the Gambia National Library Service Authority. Thank you.
Since we were not here the last time, according to our rules, our clerks would be administering affirmation before we continue with the business. It's coming down.
I, Hassan Sise,
I, Hassan Sise,
do hereby affirm that
do hereby affirm that
I will speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but
nothing but the truth.
so help.
So help me God. Thank you.
Last week, we were supposed to get the GPA compliance report. Unfortunately, we were not around to do so. But this morning, they've just passed the compliance report. So therefore, before we proceed with the consideration, we'll allow GPA to come in to present the compliance report. And we'll try to summarize only the key highlights.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair, members of the FPAC committee, subject matter specialists, and management and board of Gambia National Library Services. We are mandated by Section 12 of GPPA Act to review institutions and report to the National Assembly on their levels of compliance to the Public Procurement Act. And this year, we're going to, for this sitting, we'll report on their levels of compliance for 2017 and 18. And I have my compliance assistant who will
1.1 Background information. In reference to Section 12 of the GPPA, Gambia Public Procurement Amendment Act 2018, the GPPA is mandated to conduct annual compliance review on procuring organization and accordingly inform the National Assembly and Cabinet on their respective compliance levels. In the execution of this aspect of its mandate, staff of GPPA conducted a review exercise at the National Library, Gambia National Library Service Authority on the 9th August 2022 to determine the organization's level of compliance regarding the procurement transactions conducted from 1st of January 2017 to 31st December 2018. 1.2 Objectives. The main objective of the procurement review was to assess the status of Gambia National Library Service Authority procurement and disposal system in order to determine the level of their implementation procedures and compliance with the Gambia Public Procurement Act 2018 and GPPA Regulation 2019 and the instructions issued by GPPA. The specific objectives of this procurement review were...
You may skip those, they are not necessary.
Okay. Can I go to
go straight to the findings?
The findings. Okay.
Yeah.
I refer you to page 9. Non-compliance. We observed that the SPU is directly reporting to admin and finance, which we found to be non-compliance to the recommendation of best practice. Implication. The procurement may be individualized for the personal gain since there is lack of proper control and supervision of the side of SPU. Accountability and transparency are not assured. Causes the use of wrong procedures which can lead to wrong award decision. Value for money cannot be assured. Recommendations. We recommended that the procurement unit being under supervision of the Director General in order to make the unit more independent from the administration department. I think the management response is there.
Yeah, management will come to that.
Okay.
Use of procedure.
Page 14.
You have no issue in page 11?
Number function of the disposal committee.
Okay.
Non-compliance.
Okay.
There is no evidence of evaluation report by the contracts committee and no indication that individual scores were awarded by each evaluators or rankings for each quotations received as per regulation section 62, 63, 64, and 66 of the GPPA Act. The authority has not established the evaluation committee as required as per regulations 62, 63, 64, 66, and 67. Implications. Without the establishment of the evaluation committee, it was difficult to ascertain how evaluation was done to determine the successful bidder. There is a risk that the wrong bidders may be selected. Recommendation. The PO should establish the evaluation committee as required by the regulation. Page 15, number 6, examination and receipt committee. Non-compliance. The authority has not established the examination and receipt committee as required by GPPA regulation section 133, 134, 135, and 136. Implication. Page 19. it's page 18, that is specification number 11. But you can turn to page 19 where the non-compliance. The Gambian National Library Service Authority did not develop detailed technical specification. In some of the requests for quotation and transactions and single source in accordance with GPPA Amendment Act 2018, Section 25, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Implications. Value for money may not be attained. Quality could be compromised. Award decision is likely to be discriminatory instead of responsiveness. Recommendations. The Gambian National Library Service Authority should ensure detailed specifications are generated in such transactions to ensure competition in the procurement processes as required in GPP Amendment Act 2018, Section 25, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Page 20, number 16, non-compliance. There is no secure facility for the receipt of tenders or quotations as per GPP Regulation 53, subsection 3. Recommendations. For purpose of integrity of the procurement process in line with the objective of the Act, there is need for POs to have both the tenders and quotation box in secure destination within their premises, preferable next to Executive Director's office. The authority's suppliers should be sensitized to start delivering quotations and bids to tender quotation box. Staff of the authority should be discouraged or collect quotation from the suppliers, eliminates the risk of dodge action. Page 22, number 22, contract management, non-compliance. Inspection and acceptance committee are not established as part of the contract management procedures in contravention of Regulation 127 and 128. Supplier performance review are not carried out to inform further improvements of the suppliers on completion of their deliveries as required by the regulation. No evidence of contract management team in place. Implications. The contracts may be performed in accordance with all the terms and conditions of the contract. The contract may not be performed in accordance with all the terms and conditions of the contract. Relevant information regarding the contract could be missing. Weak contract administration is an invitation to corruption practice. Measurement and control of performance could be hindering, though giving the room for more risks and deviation from the original contract. Recommendations. POs should enhance management and administration of procurement contracts as provided for the Act and then the regulation. It is advisable to file key aspects of the contract performance as part of the procurement record management. Chapter 4, page 24, specific findings. Non-compliance. There was no delivery report to show that the procurement was complete as stipulated in Section 35(2) of the GPP Amendment Act 2018. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Section 133 and 2136 of the GPPA regulation. Page 25. Non-compliance. There was no delivery receipt to show that the procurement was complete as stipulated in Section 35(2) of the GPPA Amendment Act 2018. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Section 133 to 136 of GPPA regulation. The procurement documentation such as delivery notes were not attached. There was no evaluation report among the documents provided to the reviewers. Page 26, non-compliance. There was no minutes of the contract committee to approve the procurement as stipulated in Regulation 28 of the GPPA regulation and Section 12(7)(b) and 2 of the GPPA Amendment Act 2018. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Section 133 to 136 of the GPPA regulation. Specifications were not developed for this procurement. Page 27, procurement of banner, T-shirts, and posters. Non-compliance. There was no minutes of the contracts committee for this procurement. Specifications were not developed for this procurement. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Regulation 133 to 136. No prior approval was sought from the authority. The procurement was, there was no delivery receipt as stipulated in Section 35(2) of the GPPA. Page 28, procurement of toilet materials. Non-compliance. There were no minutes of the contracts committee for this procurement. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Regulation 133 to 136. There was no delivery receipt as stipulated in Section 35(2) of the GPPA Amendment Act 2018. Page 29, procurement of 3G card. Non-compliance. There were no minutes of the contract committee for this procurement. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Regulation 133 to 136. No prior approval was sought from the authority. The procurement was above the threshold of single source. There was no delivery receipt as stipulated in Section 35(2) of GPPA Act 2018. Page 30, procurement of vehicle. Non-compliance. There was no inspection committee to inspect the goods as stipulated in Regulation 133 to 136. There was no delivery receipt as stipulated in Section 35(2) of the GPPA Act 2018. Recommendations. Page 31. It is recommended that the library to enter into framework agreement with routine procurement, example fuel and stationaries. It is recommended that Gambia National Library Service Authority establish disposal committee. The SPU should be directly answerable to Director General. It is recommended that library trainers and new contracts committee members, training and new contracts committee members. It is recommended that Gambia National Library Service Authority to establish an inspection committee. Conclusion. Using the above compliance-related variables and specific findings on some of the procurement transactions conducted for the period under review, Gambia National Library Service Authority was found to be 65 in the year 2017 and 65 in the year 2018, which donates partially compliance with the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Amendment Act 2018 and Regulation 2019. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. The management issues would be taken by the honorable members when we reach that stage during the consideration. Honorable colleagues, now we have just had the presentation of PPPA on the compliance report. I may go straight on the consideration proper the activity and financial statements, issues surrounding them, and then finally will come down to the issues in the management, in the GPPA compliance report. I think you all have the copies of the analysis from the SMS 2019. National Library presented 18, 19, 20, is this so? 18, 19. So that means we're supposed to do the consideration surrounding 18 and 19. Honorable colleagues, you may take your analysis from the SMS, and if you have questions surrounding them, then you can pose to the management. Yes, Honorable. (17) and 18. That means we'll take note of the 18 aspect, since it's a consolidated report. GPA. GPA, can you give us update on the 2019 and 20 reports for Gambia National Library?
Reviewed for, sorry. Okay, sorry. They are yet to be reviewed for 2019 and 20.
They are yet to be reviewed.
Yes.
Are they set for review?
Yes, they are scheduled.
They are scheduled.
Yeah. Yes, they are scheduled.
Okay.
Honorable Chair, yes, with your permission, can I make this intervention? What happened is they've not submitted reviews of 19 and 20, but it's not, in our case, it's not about being scheduled. We were reviewed up to 2020. So it is the report that is not ready from their end. Thank you.
Indicated that they have scheduled 19 and 20 for review. So what is completed is 17 and 18. Honorable Fofana.
I just want a clarification. So does that mean we are only going to do consideration for 2018 alone?
Yeah, 17, no, this we are under, which particular committee were you under in the 5th legislature?
Well, we've always been under the education, training, and ICT.
So that is to say your 17 were treated by education?
No, well, it was, I want to be, it was FPAC. Personally, I was not in, I was away on studies, but they were here with the former Director General, and the other colleagues are also here. Okay, she's confirmed it was the Education Committee.
Yes, that is the 17.
Yes, 17.
The 17 reports were considered by FPAC?
Yeah, no, the Education Committee.
Sorry, Education
Committee, yes.
So you had only 18 to 20 pending?
Yes.
Yes, Honorable.
My question is, right now they've presented both 2018 and 2019.
Yes.
And Honorable Njai had a valid point. She was saying like the compliance report for 2019 is not ready. So I want to know the committee's position before making any recommendation. Are we considering the financial reports for both 2018 and 19, or we are only limiting ourselves to 2018 where both the compliance and the audited financial reports have been presented?
You mean the GPB or the financial statement as well?
Right now we have the audited financial statements
Yes.
from the Gambia National Library Service Authority for
Exactly.
2018 and 2019,
Exactly.
which is in order. With regards to the compliance, we only have 2018. So the point Honorable Njai was making is, if we should consider both 2018 and 2019, it will be incomplete because the compliance for 2019 is not yet available. So my question is, I want clarity. Are we considering both 2018 and 2019, or will only limit ourselves to 2018 where we have all the sets of the documents needed for a proper consideration? Thank you.
Yeah, I think before we are not holding on to the reports of GPPA, with or without the GPA, we proceed to consider the reports presented by respective institutions. Going by that, I think we can consider the aspect of GPA reports that is within the presentation that's supposed to be presented as 18 and 19. If they have presented the 18, we can consider that aspect. Now, it is going to be in our report that the compliance for 2019 and 20 are yet to be presented. I think we can note that. The clerk can take note of that.
Honorable Chair, before we proceed, there is an issue. What GPPA presented is a draft report. It's not the final version. I think we need to make that very known. Our responses were provided, and then we've not got any feedback since after that. So I'm surprised that the draft is what is being considered here.
There is no indication in this that it is a draft report, and then if GPA can guide us whether this is a draft or not.
Honorable Chair, it's a final draft, it's a final one, not draft.
So that's why I said there is no indication of draft.
Yeah.
So this is final.
Mr. Chair, I think this is the final, like he said. The thing is they have to respond.
Yeah.
For GPPA, this was what they've observed, and that is their final report. And they've sent it to them, notwithstanding. It should be in 2019 where we can see whether there's been changes or whether it's still the same. And when they come, this is when the answer, that should be from their management, respond.
Honorable Chair, it was sent to them and then they respond.
No, management has even responded. Yeah, they've responded to the queries and concerns.
Yeah, that's the thing, respond.
Yeah, they've responded. So we may proceed. You may take your analysis and then put the relevant questions to the Gambia National Library. The analysis of the National Library submissions, the analysis of the audited financial statements of the Gambia National Library for the financial year 2019 is here under review. The auditors opine that the financial statements given a true and fair of the financial position of the authority as at 31st December 2019 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with general accepted accounting principles and have been properly prepared in accordance with Companies Act 2013 and Gambia National Library Service Authority Act 2009. The basis for opinion, the auditors have confirmed conducting their audit in accordance with international standards of auditing, that they are independent of company in accordance with International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. The auditors have believed that the audit evidence they have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for their opinion. The key audit matters, there are no key audit matters brought to the attention of the management. On performance, the current assets of Gambia National Library has grown between 2018 and 2019 from 4.86 million to 4.768 million, mainly on account of improved cash and bank balances. On the savings account with GTU-CCU was being maintained during the period 2017 and 19 at a tune of 1.276 million, was balanced at the end of the year 2019. And at this point, the committee would like to know the relationship between the Gambia National Library and the Gambia Teachers Union Credit Union. If the finance director can take us through.
Good morning once again. The relationship between Gambia National Library and GTU, CCU is because we are under Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, which is about teachers, and then we thought as we are part of education, so we think it's important for us also to be members for GTU, CTU Credit Union.
Now you just say because we are under education and then teachers are also under education, that deem it fitting for you to be under their credit union.
Yes.
Besides, did you base it on any legal authority?
I must indicate that in addition to what she initially said was that it is not a case of just because we are under the ministry. The Teachers Union is a cooperative credit union. And as a cooperative credit union, considering the fact that the National Library is one institution that is financially struggling, we were advised by the then board to go into that relationship as to some of our basic needs. And a typical example was, for instance, when government gave out the civil service loan, the National Library could be autonomous institution. So, and as they were at least benefiting from some of these things, so we were also advised to at least open an institutional account to be able to attract such facilities. Thank you.
Okay. That was the basis of opening the account with the
GTU-CCU, yes, on the recommendation of the then board.
And recommended by the board?
Yes, by the board, yes.
Mr. Chair, I think we are still not clear about the legality as to why they term themselves under teachers to be able to join the teachers union. Is it, like you've asked, is it by law? And also, I think we also need to revisit why the National Library is under the Ministry of Education, and which education. Is it higher education or is it basic education? Because the library is not only about education, it's also about culture. It embraces everything. So we need to revisit why it's under the education, and also which section of the education, whether basic or whether high, because National Library should be under, I don't know, but not under the Ministry of Education. And if it's under the Ministry of Education, then I think they should have a section of a library in every educational institution, because that is a challenge in this country.
Can you respond to that?
Yes. Part of the or not, I want to believe that it is a sector. In terms of the issues of schools, yes, we've been working closely with the ministry. And there is a policy to ensure that there should be live.
So it means that it's not happening. You said should be.
Okay.
Okay. So it is happening.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No, Mr. Chair.
Is it happening from, I went to a school in my constituency